This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 212, How to Get and Sell More Luxury Listings. Are you a real estate agent who wants to build your real estate job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in a better direction, I've created a free jumpstart course for you that's waiting at freeagentgift.com. That'll give you a nice wireframe on how to organize your business. I wish somebody had given me one of these early on because it's taken me just a short 23 years to figure this all out. But to give it to you, hopefully to give back to this business to make it better for everybody. I coach newbies all the way up to top producers, and we use the same wireframe. Keep it simple. All right, let's get started. How to get and sell more luxury listings. I know everybody's saying, oh, I couldn't do that. And I get it. I did the same thing early on in my career. I just remember when somebody would talk about luxury listings, I thought to myself, someday. That's what I kept thinking. Someday I'll get to that point where I can get luxury listings. But right now I'm just going to pull my boots up by the bootstraps and I'm going to go to work. I literally had a business plan that when they asked me at Realty Executives, what's your plan? We love you, but we think you're going to figure it out. What's your plan? They were all excited. I said, oh, 2,000 business cards, give me a desk and I'll bring the Army helmet and the work ethic. And I did. And that wasn't good. So if I could start all over again, knowing what I know today, I would really go right after luxury listings. But let's get into this and let me explain what I mean by this so that I can draw you all in. I don't care whether you don't even have a license yet, like I didn't at that time when they were talking to me about a business plan. I still hadn't even gotten my license yet. Or you've been in it for a long time and you just can't seem to break up into that luxury category. Well, let's first start by defining what is a luxury listing? What do you mean by that? So the safest definition from a business perspective is that a luxury listing, in my mind's eye, as a business mind, is median priced or above. Because if I start teaching you to go luxury, you're going to go to the top of the food chain. You're going to go into MLS or you're going to go on to one of the latest apps and you're going to look at what the most expensive listing in your area really is. And you're going to get carried away thinking that's it. And you say, oh, I could never do that. And it is probably just enough to feel self-defeating. How would you ever find a multi-million-dollar property like that one? Only the experts seem to get that, and on it goes. So let's just define it, median priced and above. Because again, there's a piece of advice that I wish I got. And over time, I was in groups that were, when the recession came, we were going from bad to worse. We were already pursuing the majority of our listings less than median. And then when the recession hit, everybody was really into this really tough business, whether it was pre-foreclosures, short sales, whatever it might be. It was ugly. And you need to do a lot of those deals to stay profitable. And finding those deals can get very expensive. And dealing with people that are really in dire straits financially that own a property, it can be a very, very difficult business. Now, I'm glad I went through it so that I understand the grind per se, but the grind is overrated. In fact, it's dangerous. You don't want to just grind out a business because it's not profitable in the long run. That's the real challenge here. So define a luxury listing for the sake of this podcast today to be median priced and above. So you would just go into your multiple listing service. And if you're not even a licensed agent yet, you could just Google it. What's the median price property in Dallas, Texas, for example? And you want to go more micro, you could pick an area. What's the median price in downtown Boston, for example, in one of my marketplaces? So that's what you do. You define it, you have a number, and I'm a big fan of crooked numbers, meaning real numbers. Don't make it up. Oh, it's $1 million. And you just pick it out of the sky. The brain doesn't want you to work like that. The brain, in developing a very clear, good business plan, it wants you to see a very, very particular number. So if that number is $991,672, that's the number you're looking for. And there's something about those real crooked, real numbers that begin to put you in a place where you understand your business. And you can really begin to build a plan around that, right? So the next point here is, all right, so there they are. So, but how do I get the leads? That's the question you hear all the time in our business. The leads. I mean, Glenn Ross, the movie, they made it famous too, because everybody perceives it's all about the leads. Well, it is to a certain extent, but we make such a big deal of leads that we're forgetting all of these other strategic conversations before we start to get into leads. So the concept here is that luxury leads in our business, at least, are hiding in plain sight. And that's great. I mean, they're right there in plain sight. Think about what I'm about to say here. If you are, and again, I don't know who's listening, so maybe you're not even in the business yet, meaning you haven't gotten your license and then joined the National Association and a local board of realtors, so you don't have access to the multiple listing service. And clearly that's what you want to do because that's where the business really exists. That's where listings are inventoried and we can see what the inventory is. So when you hear that reference to inventory, that's where it is. It's hiding there. But now, in this massive database, there are a lot of status change symbols. So somebody lists a property. Obviously, it's already somebody else's listing, so you're not going to get that one. It's too late. But like any other business, we have a very high failure rate on deals. So no, and this is in any kind of marketplace. I cringe when top producers tell me, "Oh yeah, there's no expireds. My market's smoking hot." Okay, you're right. There aren't a lot of them, but there are enough of them. Why? Because when a marketplace goes up, there are a lot of agents that are just guessing at what they're doing. So somebody takes their advice and they guess at the price, and the next thing you know, it's overpriced and it doesn't sell. It expires. It goes full term and expires. So that can happen. But the next thing that can happen is also something goes awry in the relationship with the realtor. So a listing gets canceled. It could get withdrawn. And again, my fellow realtors sometimes will play the little game of withdrawing something when it's really about to expire so they can hide it. But it's a phenomenon in our business that listings expire. And it has existed long before I got in the business, and I'm sure it'll exist long after I'm out of the business too someday. So there they are. They're expired. So here you are. You've said, okay, I'm going to define, for example, use Boston. We're going to define downtown Boston as an area that I'm curious about and I want to do business at luxury. So what is the median price and the mean too? So I'll explain the median being the very middle price. If I have a whole bunch of sales, the very one in the middle, and then I can look at the mean, and the means tend, and this is interesting with luxury, the mean tends to be higher in most cases, where all of a sudden you're really averaging up. So in Boston, we have I think the $14 million was the high sale last year or last quarter. I'm trying to remember. I can see it on Louisburg Square, $14 million. And so obviously that's going to skew the average way up. And there are others too, 10 million, et cetera, and on it goes. But the average price in that case in downtown Boston is 1.5. And the median is a little bit less than that. I actually focus on the average because at this point in my career, I want the big stuff. So let's just take the number 1.5 and presume that that's the median or the mean. We're in there somewhere, right? So as you look at that, you say to yourself, okay, that means if it's the median number, there's an equal distribution of sales to the high side of that number. Let that sink in for a second, right? And here they are. A proportion of the listings that got listed and didn't sell, here they are, and I can look right in MLS. I know exactly where they are. Are they in the exact place I would like to list a property? And is it at the median price and above? Voila, hiding in plain sight. Now, if you want to get into something that's really off our market, for sale by owners, sometimes you can see an entry-only listing in the MLS, and that's quasi for sale by owner, but you could go to a for sale by owner site. I think you certainly could go to Zillow these days, and you could look and see for sale by owners. They're hiding in plain sight. And the challenge for sale by owners, oftentimes, they have taken themselves out of the major marketplace, MLS, and so they actually, without probably really knowing it, they've done themselves an incredibly big disservice, especially in a market that starts to correct. So they're hiding in plain sight, and you can look at what their price is and ask yourself, is that median or above? So those are just a few examples of where listings are hiding. I could go on and on and on, really just draw a circle around the place, and you could get all the assessed values off of a public site, and you could find out from top down, really, where is everybody? And there are myriad ways you could market to them. But if it doesn't include picking up the phone, don't bother. Okay. Too many of you out there think that you're going to send some magical postcard or you're going to run some magical ad on the internet. I'm a fan of all of those things as part of the orchestration of what I do, but you better learn how to pick up the phone here, folks. Okay. Now, that's a topic for another day. So the next thing is, okay, so we've defined it, median above, and as luxury. And then we know they're hiding in plain sight, especially for realtors who have access to MLS and expireds. And now what do you do? Because now you're going to have to pick up the phone and you're going to have to talk to these people and you're going to have to make an offer. A lot of you have just never been taught how to make an offer to somebody. And you say, well, what would I say? And aren't I going to sound like everybody else? Well, maybe, if you don't think. But if you're listening to this podcast, I'm gonna let you cheat. I told you already, freeagentgift.com. You can go over there, and that will begin to help you understand the mechanics of the business in its entirety, because you're not going to muscle your way around in this business. It's more complicated than people think by far. So the tip here is, the third point is your USP, or your unique selling proposition. Why should they do business with you above and beyond all other options, including doing nothing at all? And the way that I teach my entire team, everybody in my coaching program at the Griffin, our brokerage, a simple answer: because we have a plan that brings a consistent and predictable result. Because we have a plan that brings a consistent and predictable result. And that plan, by the way, is super simple. It is not complicated. It's very straightforward, and it's simple. And that's all you have to do, is just keep it simple. Just tell them how you're going to take them through the process, okay? So the next point here is the fourth point. How do you market this stuff? I mean, once you get this stuff, now what? Let's just say you get it. Well, luxury marketing turns out to be a little bit of perception plus reality. So when I was beginning to learn how to break into luxury, I was going up against some other folks, and I could see that they were competing not on a unique selling proposition. I had my plan from day one, and I would go in, and these luxury people I can remember over in Hyannisport, the famed Hyannisport, I went in to see somebody, and I went through the plan, and he and his wife, and he looked at it, and he kept pointing, but yeah, my brother always said this, and I agree with this, and he agreed with the plan 100%. But what I went in and I wasn't ready to deal with yet was the perceptive part. See, no matter how good and simple and straightforward a plan can be for the seller, there's still the part of them that's very heavily triggered by their perception of how our business works, especially in the marketing side. How are you going to market my property? Okay, well, that's because they don't understand the real mechanics of the multiple listing service. Quite simply, if somebody takes some really good high-resolution digital pictures, and I always recommend using a professional to do that, you're not that person unless you have a photography background and you're a realtor. You go in and you create this digital footprint that looks really good. And you have to present it in this digital age out there so that the seller feels like you have given them the best chance to win. Now, clearly that digital footprint, when it gets syndicated through MLS and everywhere, does need to look good. So I got really good at paying attention to digital presentation. I got so far into it, and you don't have to do this, obviously, because you can go buy one or use your company's. But I actually built a website company so that I could simply put my digital pictures and the way that I wanted to present my featured properties up on a website. And so I then was ready to compete and say, look, I can do everything anybody else would do and then some. So we now are starting to put a Matterport tour, a 3D tour on every one of our properties. It's standard fare, a digital footprint of the floor plans, the best pictures. We're about to go to level up our YouTube game for our featured properties. So there is a lot there, and you do want to play that game, but you want to do it around listings, by the way. I'll do another podcast on social media and how people are drowning, but you want to be able to put together a nice digital package for a listing. But here's the key. I sell luxury properties. If you want to see the proof in the pudding, I'm not sitting here pontificating behind a microphone. I actually do this every single day, every single week, right? This is what I do. And I'm selling luxury properties. So if you want to go to thegriffin.co, TheGriffin.co, and you go to featured properties, you can see some of the luxury featured properties and what we've done. And the ones that are pending, especially right now, or sold recently, you can look at those and say that the reality of the way that those were sold was by me through marketing, through what? An open house. Yes, an open house on a 3.350. I just got that offer this week because I sat there week after week after week, and the building had some challenges with a lawsuit against the developer, but what a fabulous place. And I was relentless in my physical marketing so that I could open up the doors, get people through, give them a tour of the physical property. So the perception of what it looked like online, plus the hustle face to face. I love open houses. People think I'm nuts, but I just sold 2 luxury properties, 1.425, 3.35. Both of the buyers came to my open houses multiple times and then called their realtor in once they were ready. So I was able to sell these proactively myself. Perception plus reality. Now let me smash some myths and we'll wrap this one up, right? Here's the myth number 1, which keeps you away from doing this. And I know this as a coach. I mean, I'm coaching every single week top producers and slowly but steadily breaking their paradigms. A lot of these people did huge volume, but I'm trying to break their paradigm the same way I'm trying to teach you. You have to change the way that you see these people, because here's the first myth, that luxury sellers and buyers, for that matter, are not nice people. That's a myth. They're so difficult. And I don't want to do those luxury things. Those wealthy people are so difficult. What? Where's your evidence to that? Where does that even come from? That you just made that up? Because in my experience, which is real, direct with luxury people, I have met some of the most amazing people. I mean, they're phenomenal people and they're wonderful people. Literally, as I'm doing this podcast, you can go to thegriffin.co and you'll see it it depends on this is when this comes out over the next couple of weeks. But I just listed a property for a gentleman by the name of Steve Candell. You can Google him. Steve wrote all the episodes of MacGyver for 7 years. He wrote for Star Trek. He's a 95-year-old gentleman who is a 10 of a human being. I mean, this guy's just a 10. I could have sat in his living room with him and talked to him all day long about Hollywood. It was wonderful. What a great guy. The guy who's letting me sell his property is from Guadalajara, Mexico, and brought his son to this country to be able to have full immersion and speak English. He has been so patient with me for process. We have just become just really bonded in getting this thing solved. And the buyers on several of these cases, I mean, they're just so nice. I've never had this much fun in my business as I have when I started to look median and above. Don't get me wrong. Look at folks. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, "Oh, you're discriminating against people that are below median." No, I'm not at all. I cut my teeth there for a good solid 20 years, so I'm bulletproof against that kind of garbage. So don't think that. I will help anybody. If somebody comes to me and they own a lean-to, a shanty for $50,000, and they're a real human and they appreciate where I'm coming from and I can help them, you better believe it. I'm all in. This is a privilege to be in this business as far as I'm concerned, but I'm talking to you as a business person. I have a big family. I have 5 kids and I have obligations and I have to be profitable. So I'm not going to throw my business brain down the drain when it comes to thinking about how to maintain a profitable business, especially in a world where the cost of business goes through the roof. Okay. And the last one is you don't need to be a veteran agent to break into luxury listings. That's a myth. That's someday. That was my dumb excuse. All right. How to get and sell more luxury listings. 1, you define a luxury listing as the median price and above. Focus there. 2, luxury leads are hiding in plain sight. Hello, expireds in MLS. 3, your unique selling proposition. Start off with just a simple plan. Most people don't come in with a simple plan to list and sell the property. 4, luxury marketing is a combination of perception. Yes, you have to be good at digital and get it out there so the seller perceives you're in the digital age, and it will help to a certain extent. But plus the reality, open up the dang house and let people in and meet them there in open houses, okay? And attend your listings, your co-broke showings whenever you can. Be proactive. Last, smash these 2 myths. That luxury sellers and buyers are not nice people. Wrong. And the second point there is you need to be a veteran agent to break into luxury listings. Wrong. You don't. So I'll summarize it by saying pursuing luxury listings is smart business because they keep your profit margins very healthy. Instead of being intimidated by the word luxury, simply focus on median priced homes and above. These listings are hiding right in front of you as expireds, cancels, withdrawns, for sale by owners, and unlimited sources if you just look into the geography within which you want to do business. Now, contrary to popular belief, you don't have to be a veteran agent to list luxury properties. You simply have to offer a clear, straightforward plan that covers the basics of online and offline efforts that you're going to put forth on behalf of that seller. So start pursuing luxury listings today. All right, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free simple business plan that's waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. Again, I'm telling you, just get a copy of the thing and print it out. Don't be so lazy, right? Don't be lazy because nobody, well, I'll save that for the end here. Also, don't forget, if you like these things, you can give me a thumbs up, and that really motivates my brain to see that somebody's listening out there. But you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify. But most importantly, right now, I'm really going to put a push on YouTube. I want to get you some more content on YouTube. So if you don't mind subscribing, if you like these, then you'll see continually what happens each week here. And again, I'm really sharing the insights that I coach top producers on, and I use to sell properties like this myself. So don't forget, you can subscribe to the Realty Classroom channel on YouTube. But remember this, nobody's coming for you. Nobody. So go get to work on your business, and we'll see you in the next episode to help you do just that. I really appreciate you listening. Thanks.